Hey there, and welcome into another exciting episode of A for Effort. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we start off giving thanks to our unofficial sponsor of the podcast, AMC A-List. $19.95 a month gets you 3 movies a week at local AMC theaters in your area. Check AMC.com for theater listings and offer availability. On today's episode, we're going to break down a movie that's been out for 20 years, but got a re-release in theaters, and I was lucky enough to be one of the people in the theater for this movie, and that was The Matrix. Again, it's been out for 20 years, and am I doing a review for The Matrix? You're damn right I am, because I was in amazement at how well this movie stuck the landing, how well this movie has held up over the 20 years that it's been out. Like, you would think to yourself, like, there's no way that this movie will hold up. Some of the special effects, some of the dated Nokia references and all that stuff, but guess what? It holds up. Every last bit of it holds up. And in the last 20 years of my life, I have become a extreme cinephile. I love going to movies. I love seeing movies. I'm reviewing movies on YouTube for this very reason. And the crazy part about all of it is a lot of the movies that I love today, I don't get to see without this movie, The Matrix. Now, Keanu Reeves, absolutely amazing in this movie. It was the start of a new era of the action star Keanu Reeves that we've come to know and love nowadays. You know, he wasn't that before this. He kind of played a stoner in a lot of stuff, and everyone kind of thought he was fading out. And then he gets The Matrix, and boom, up goes his career. You know, and it's kind of crazy. And Carrie-Anne Moss, who plays Trinity, is just amazing. You know, Lawrence Fishburne, who's had an outstanding career, plays Morpheus. Like, this movie is, you know, Hugo Weaving plays Agent Smith. There's so many great actors who have gone on to do so many more brilliant things before and after this film. But this film in particular, The Matrix, just is an outstanding achievement in cinema. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully written. You know, we had a discussion on the weekly show, The Geekly Effort, where did we need The Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions? I don't know. You know, I could go back and watch those two as well. And, you know, after watching The Matrix again for the first time in a while, I'm like, man, maybe they should have stopped at just one, because it is a beautifully contained story. And yes, there are talks of Zion and the One and all this stuff, but the way the story plays out is you really don't need to go build anymore, because we know what everything is. The world was so tightly built in the first movie that to expand upon it was kind of unnecessary. And so with that, I agree with what we were discussing about, did we need Reloaded and Revolutions? But I stand behind the first Matrix. I believe this movie was worth my time. I was so happy to get to rewatch it. You know, to give it a score now, 20 years later, it feels wrong to score it 20 years after it's been released, you know, but this movie has lived up to its billing, and it is an A-plus movie, and it will always be an A-plus movie. It's one of those movies that, again, builds a genre into what it is today. We will not have the Marvel movies or Inception or the DC movies or any really good action film without this movie. The stunt choreographer in this movie went on to become the director of John Wick. So without The Matrix and this man's ability to do the stunts the way he did in The Matrix leads to John Wick directly. Correlates right into it. And then it correlates into Deadpool 2, and it correlates into John Wick 2 and John Wick 3 and everything, you know. So these people, these actors and movie makers and directors and cinematographers and everything built a career from The Matrix, and I think that is the blessing of this movie, is that it built something more. It built a beautiful world, and we got to live in it for 3 movies. And I can't believe that this movie, it's a cult classic, and it holds up 20 years later. It's just as good as it was on day one. I had such a good time seeing it in theaters. If you get a chance while it's in theaters, and I don't know if it is or not, if it was just that one night, get out, man. Go see it on a big screen. We saw it in Dolby Cinema, and it was worth the watch. It really was. It was beautifully remastered for the Dolby Cinema, and it's definitely worth your time. I have been your host, Matt. Check out all the rest of the reviews on the YouTube channel. Check out my weekly show where me and my friends talk about all things nerdy, The Geekly Effort. That'll be found on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Come back to us next time on another exciting episode of A for Effort, where we will always have quality movie reviews.